Hi everybody, welcome to Rocco Baby Crochet. I hope you're all well and you've all had a good week. So this week I'm just going to show you how to do this lovely textured stitch. It's called the rice stitch. It's a really simple stitch to do and it's great for loads of different projects. I do them a lot for my pamper kits, so I make face cloths out of this and little makeup scrubbies. But it's a really versatile stitch. It's reversible on both sides, so it looks exactly the same on either side. And it's made up basically of 3 stitches, so don't forget I use the UK terminology, but I will pop the US abbreviations on the screen for you. But it's a half treble crochet, a front post treble crochet and a back post treble crochet. So this little sample square that I've made here is I've worked this up using the Signet Silk Caress in the colour Raspberry, but for today's tutorial I'm going to be using the Silk Caress in the colour Fondant, so it's a little bit more of a paler pink, a bit more of a baby pink, and a 4mm crochet hook. But you can use any yarn that you want. It looks really good as well in variated yarns, cotton yarns it looks particularly nice in, because you get a lovely stitch definition, and because it is that textured stitch it works up really lovely for cotton face cloths. So grab your hooks, grab your yarn, and let's learn how we do the rice stitch. Begin with, you want to take your yarn and make yourself a slip knot, and what you want to do is you want to make a chain for the width that you want your project, but your chain needs to be an odd number of chains. So I'm just going to do a really small sample piece here, so I'll chain 13, so that's 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10, 11, 12 and 13. Now if you're a little bit unsure how to do any of these stitches that I'm mentioning, I'll pop links up to them in the top right hand corner for you just to refresh yourself. And what we want to do for row 1 is we're just going to place a UK treble crochet in the 3rd chain from the hook. So this is the working yarn that's on our hook and doesn't count as a chain. So we count back these V's, so there's 1, 2 and there's our 3rd, and it's there that we're going to be placing our first UK treble. So you're going to yarn over, insert your hook into that 3rd chain, yarn over and pull up a loop, and you'll have 3 loops on your hook, yarn over, pull through 2 loops, yarn over and pull through 2 loops. Now if you're new to crochet, it's an idea just to grab yourself a stitch marker and mark your first stitch of every row on this project, because as we work up it, sometimes it can be a little bit more difficult to identify your first and last stitch of each row, so it'll help you keep your stitch count correct and nice straight edges. So there's 1, so I'm just going to work my way all the way across, placing 1 UK treble in every chain across, and because I chained 13 and skipped 2, I should have a stitch count of 11 when I come to the end of this row. Now the 2 chains that we skipped aren't going to count as a stitch for the rice stitch, they're just a turning chain, so we'll not work anything into that when we're coming up to row 2. So that's important to remember. So you always want an odd number of stitches for this pattern to work, for this stitch to work. So I've just got a couple more left to work. And there's my last UK treble going into my last chain. So it's worthwhile at this point just popping your work down and checking that you have got an odd number of stitches. So I've got 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10 and 11. So it's worth it if you're doing a bigger project. You don't want to get to the end of row 2 and then realise that your stitch count is incorrect, so it's worthwhile just checking that at this point. So moving up to row 2 now, and row 2 is going to be the row repeat that we use throughout the rice stitch. And what you want to do is just chain 1, and that's a turning chain and won't count as a stitch. And into this very first stitch where your turning chain is coming out of, we're going to place 1 half treble crochet. So you'll yarn over, insert your hook from front to back under both of those strands of yarn that makes up the V, yarn over and pull up a loop, and at this point you'll have 3 loops of yarn on your hook, yarn over and pull through all 3 strands of yarn. So pop a stitch marker into this first half treble crochet, and every row from now on will start and finish with one of these stitches, a UK half treble. So in between those 2 half trebles we're going to be working post stitches. So the post of the stitch is this long part here, like the body of the stitch. So the first one that we're going to do is a front post. So what you want to do is to do a UK front post treble, yarn over, drop your hook around the front of your work and pop your hook from front to back around that post and then back out from the back of the work through to the front. Yarn over and pull up a loop and pull that nice and tall, and you'll have 3 loops on your hook at this point, and you just finish off the stitch in exactly the same way you'd do any normal treble crochet, by yarning over and pulling through 2 and then yarning over and pulling through the last 2. So the next one along is going to be a back post UK treble. So you're going to yarn over, drop your hook around the back of your work and pop your hook out from the back to the front, around that post and then back out from the front to the back. So you just wrapping your hook around that post, yarn over and pull up a loop, and you'll have 3 loops again on your hook, yarn over and pull through 2, yarn over and pull through 2. Now the back post one is a little bit more tricky than the front post one, so if it takes you a couple of attempts, don't worry, it is a bit more fiddly until you get used to the technique. So we're just going to alternate them all the way across until we come to the last stitch of the row. So my next one is going to be a front post, so I'm going to yarn over, insert my hook from front to back, wrap it around that post and then out from the back to the front, yarn over and pull up a loop. 3 loops on my hook, pulling it nice and tall, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over and pull through 2. My next stitch is going to be a back post, so let's do that one again. So we're going to yarn over, drop the hook around the back of the piece of work, pop the hook out from the back to the front around that post and then back out from the front to the back. So you're going round that post there with your hook. Yarn over and pull up a loop. 3 loops on your hook, yarn over, pull through 2, pull through 2. So front post next, so yarn over, hook at the front, hook goes through the work from the front to the back, around the post and then back out from the back to the front, yarn over and pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, pull through 2. Back post, yarn over, drop my hook round the back, pop my hook from the back to the front, around that post and then back out from the front to the back, yarn over, pulling up a loop, and then just finish off your UK treble in the same way. So if you need to rewind this just to watch that back again, then go ahead. I'm just going to make my way to the end of this row just to show you how we move up to row 3. So I've got 2 stitches left, and at the end of every row you should be finishing on your last post stitch, should be a front post treble. So this is my last front post here. Finish that off, and then my last stitch goes where we place that stitch marker in row 1. and we're going to place a UK half treble in there. So I'm yarning over, popping my hook through the top of the stitch underneath both the strands of yarn that make up the V, pulling up a loop, 3 loops on my hook, yarning over and pulling through all 3. And then I'll pop that stitch marker out and I'll move it up as I go through the rows. So next I'm going to chain 1 and turn my work. This first stitch again is going to be a UK half treble, so it's always a half treble for the first stitch. Pop your stitch marker back in that so you can identify it when you come to the end of your next row. Front post treble crochets are going to push your stitches forward and the back posts are going to push them backwards. So when we've turned the work, because we're always going to be starting with a front post, it's going into the opposite one, so a front post around a back post. Hope that makes sense. I'm sure it will once you've worked a couple of rows of this. So again, I'm just going to yarn over, insert my hook from front to back, around that post and back out from the back to the front, yarn over and pull up a loop. Finish my treble crochet off in the usual way. So then I'm going to work a back post, so I'm going to yarn over, drop my hook around the back, pop my hook from the back to the front, around the post and then back from the front through to the back, yarn over and pull up a loop. And then my next one will be a front post. It does use up quite a lot of yarn, this stitch, but it does look really beautiful. I do use it a lot, like I said, to do my pamper kits, so face scrubbies and face cloths. It looks really nice with, and if you do it in the cotton yarn, they're really nice gifts to give to people. So that's my last back post treble crochet there, and as you can see I've got one more post to work into and then my half treble crochet. So again, I'm finishing on a front post, so you always want to finish on a front post. And this last one here, sometimes you just have to pull it apart a little bit just so you can see that post. So just pull your work gently apart just so you can see the hole that you're going to be popping your hook through, and then you're going to finish on your UK half treble. So then pop your stitch marker out and you'll just carry on repeating that until you've got the size of the projects that you want. So just a little recap for you, your foundation chain needs to be an odd number of chains to begin with. You're going to skip 2 of the chains and place your first UK treble crochet in the 3rd chain from the hook, and then 1 UK treble crochet in every chain across, and you should have an odd number of treble crochets. Remembering that the 2 chains that were skipped doesn't count as a stitch, and you're not going to work anything into them at the end of row 2. To move up to row 2, you're going to chain 1, and this is your repeat row for the whole of this stitch. Turn your work, place 1 UK half treble in the first stitch, and then alternate UK front post treble crochet and UK back post treble crochet all the way along until your very last stitch of the row, and into your last stitch of the row you're going to be placing a UK half treble, and you'll just repeat that until you've got the project to the size that you require it to be at. So I hope you've enjoyed this quick tutorial. Please don't forget to hit like and subscribe, and if you do make anything using this stitch, I'd love to see it. We've got a Facebook page where people share what they've been making throughout the week, and it's a lot of fun, so it'd be lovely to see you over there as well. So take care, happy hooking, and I'll see you real soon. Bye.